You mentioned a little bit, Alexis, about my new role.
Yes.
So it's interesting, though. Rodney had some great insights. I appreciate his humor as well. But there's some parallel pathing. So he started in the industry and then sold his company to a Fortune 500. Fortune 250. Sorry. Is that better?
There we go.
He changed. So he sold his business to a Fortune 250. I sold my agency to a Fortune 500 company that's very well known, publicly traded, and we experienced the same. Going from an entrepreneurial spirit to then a little corporate environment, and learning how to it results in both environments. And so it's very, very valuable to have both of those experiences. But you could say I started off setting appointments to then making sure that I can then go out and do what I was actually setting appointments for by becoming a retail agent. Then I started an agency, and then I sold my agency, and then I became a corporate citizen, and then I got that itch, that entrepreneurial itch that everyone has in the room to say, what can we build that's a little bit different? And taking everything that we learned, what can we do a little bit better? And so I applied all that to what affectionately I call the founder's chair, and it's a double entendre where what we do is we bring smart cookies, folks in the room, together with smart and caring money, i.e. angel investors. And so through the course of my career, I've benefited from a ton of people who have been titans in the industry in life insurance and annuities. And I said, they're exiting through consolidation, selling their agency. They're bored of buying Airbnbs and giving their Goldman person the money to manage. They're like, Jim, what can we keep doing? I said, well, would you like to align your investments with your interests and look at some new opportunities in our industry? And yes, care for the people you're investing in, but then make it a really, really good investment opportunity as well. So I connected with that group, and they said, yes, I'm in. The other group I connected with through COVID was this group of entrepreneurs that said, we're drinking the Kool-Aid, and it doesn't taste that good. So we want to try something a little different. We want to build something. And now with the technology enablement that has taken place in really the last 5 years, you can run a very lean operation on a shoestring budget, which is amazing, right? So they take their good ideas, they apply it with technology, they marry that up, and they've got a business, right? However, what they lack is what the other side has, which is key relationships they've sometimes invested decades into at carriers, and they've lacked capital sometimes. It's kind of important, as you're growing.
Really important.
And so I bring them together, call it Shark Tank meets Friendly Insurance Folks, right? And so it's a live event. And the whole idea and premise is you get people who know this sector writing checks out to people who really are exciting and are good people building something reasonable.
For us, using us as an example, we had that conversation with you, James, about, well, we don't just need someone that's going to be able to provide us with, that capital. We need someone that's really going to help guide us and walk us through certain things. And you gave us that reassurance to make sure that that will happen. And sure enough, when we sat in that room in Philadelphia earlier this year, a few months ago, we realized exactly how much they're willing to help. Is that more so of it just a communal thought process? Do you think it's just one-off? What are your thoughts about how they help?
Yeah, so everyone starts with an idea, and then you start, the whistle gets blown and it's game time. I didn't know. And so what I found was, when you think about Shark Tank, you've got an adversarial nature with the sharks, and that's fine. It's business, right? It's not personal. I didn't know if it was going to go that direction, Marvin, or if it was going to be what we found was it's more collaborative than competitive. Now, you think about it, and I should have known this all along, everybody in the room on the funder side, the investor side, de-risks each other's investment when you have a collaboration of 10 funders saying we want to invest in this company, right? So and then they get spread their capital out to multiple companies. And so I think it's here to stay is my main point. And I've seen genuine, authentic bonds being created by titans of the industry that were competitive with each other. They both sold their organizations, and they're now sharing cocktails and having fun investing in similar businesses. And so it's a really neat. I don't know how to explain it. So I think you going through experience, I think really helps.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it does, and I like. I get really excited when you talk about the founder's chair, especially because it feels like we've known you a lot longer than we have. Because when you take people through this process with the founder's chair, you're guiding them through like the steps of how to be successful.
Mentorship.
That mentorship is so important. Like going through the financial model with people and making sure that their valuations make sense before you get in front of anyone, whether it be a VC or an angel, and kind of helping, because everyone understands that yes, you have to have that 5-year projection model, but in your financial model, but you want it to make sense. You also don't want to go in sounding, what is it, the Mr. Wonderful? Is that his name? He always tears people apart about their valuations on Shark Tank. So we immediately thought like, oh my gosh, is this going to be just like Shark Tank? But what I loved about it in the entire experience is that we were like in a big round table setting, like a big family. It's almost like your family members are like pulling your idea apart and saying, hey, have you thought about this? They weren't just tearing it apart, they were giving suggestions on how to make it better, which I think is really important, especially for any founder, no matter where they are. And you're dealing with new founders plus founders who are established, and maybe they want to expand and build their own technology or expand on their company in some way as well. So I want to switch gears a little bit, because I know we consider you the life insurance expert among our group of friends. So as far as some pain points that you've been seeing trending in the life and the annuity sector, what are some of those pain points that you feel like technology can even help solve?
So nothing new, I'll say, that you haven't heard. Life insurance, retirement income products, wealth management. We often get compared to a Sherpa, right? We want to give great guidance, right? We want to do a good job. Well, the guidance gets you up the mountain, i.e. through accumulation. Let's get you that big number, right? But the guidance, a Sherpa is successful when they get you safely down the mountain, right? And I think that's where we're seeing a lot more growth happening in our industry, in our sector the most, because they're understanding that there's only a few products that can guarantee lifetime income and start to do that.
So with the idea that we're here at ITC, knowing that there's an emphasis on insurtechs, we know that there are a lot of insurtechs that are sprouting up everywhere. A lot of them are looking to solve particular problems, which we know is great. But we don't want them, and of course they don't want themselves, to get into a point where they're going, and then they fail because they haven't gotten to that point. They haven't received the proper information. So my question to you is, how can we ensure that insurtechs are solving genuine industry problems and not just creating solutions that fail to drive real value for people out there?
Yeah. I mean, my time's up.
No. You got it.
So this is unfiltered.
Yeah, this is unfiltered.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This is James Wong.
So this is wonderful, right? So I'll poke a bear, if you will. Our industry has seen a lot of consolidation. Our industry has seen a whole lot of aggregation, and that's not bad. That's not a 4-letter word that some may say, right? However, the unintended consequences of that is leading to how I see insurtechs approach their business model, right? When you've got a ton of aggregation happening, then you want to build a solution. You're now starting to appeal to the enterprise clients, right? And these enterprise clients, be it huge firms that have bought up distribution, right, and organized it to a certain degree, they are now looked upon as, where are the real issues? And mind you, that may be priority number 18 on their list. And so they've got other things they've got in motion to solve. That may not be the best place to start. And so what ends up happening, and it's really unfortunate for the whole industry to see, is when a firm flames out because they realize the innovation that they spent their time, their sweat equity in, really didn't appeal to the agent, right?
Yeah.
And they're not getting that story told because they're going to the enterprises and talking about, what do you need to solve? And I want to get 5 enterprises and I'm going to be worth a whole lot of money. So I think sometimes that can work out. Enterprises that are large do have funds allocated to solving problems on behalf of the whole distribution platform and field. But I also think that you get that bottom-up strategy that still continues to work. And that's where I think there's a huge gap. If I were to be critical of the industry, I would say, focus back on that, right? Talk to agents, talk to brokers. What are your concerns? And let's then solve that together, versus talk to the big enterprise firms that are going after a lot of other things that are of interest to them that will build enterprise value.
Thank you so much, James. We really appreciate you for spending time with us at the boardroom today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us and sitting through our sessions. We really appreciate your time and attention. There's so much going on at ITC Vegas, so thank you so much for joining us in the boardroom. Feel free to follow us on LinkedIn, Off Course Consulting, Off Course Learning, and of course, make sure you tune in to the Boardroom podcast. It is streaming on all platforms, and that means Apple, Spotify, you name it, iHeartRadio. That's where you can listen to our podcast. So make sure you click that follow button and also rate it 5 stars. All right, thank you, everybody. I'm Alexis, and this is Marvin Vaughn.